What was the best gift that you ever received for Christmas? Are you an equipment guy, jersey guy? Is there anything that sticks out along those lines?
Honestly, it's got to be the PS5. I want to say like 4 years ago. That was the big thing. They were hard to get, so my dad got a hands on them, and I was pretty juiced.
Nice. What do you play?
I was a big Fortnite guy. Back in the day, it was the NHL 21 when it came out. Nice. But right now, it's just Fortnite.
It's the Predators Official Podcast. Welcome to the program. Our final show of the calendar year of 2025. It's the holiday season. We're all full of joy and cheer. Max Herz, Kara Hammer. I'm Brooks Bratten. It's a pleasure to be alongside all of you once again, and my friends as well. And we talked about it last week. You got to watch on YouTube because you never know what you're going to see. And boy, Max, do you have quite a setup behind you.
Yeah, we have employed a revolutionary new camera technique here called turning around to show you all the great Pred stuff on my desk. And every time we record when we're not at practice or at a game, I'm going to be here. And I was here last episode too, but I was facing the other direction. So, this is a 180 is what they call it in the business. And we're displaying the Predators Hanukkah shirt given out earlier this week on Wednesday night at the game, which says Nashville in Hebrew. There are 300 of these in existence. Who knows? Maybe if you play your cards right and you're a listener out there, you could end up with mine. But thanks to everybody who joined us for Jewish Community Night this week on the fourth night of Hanukkah. Hanukkah continues this weekend. We're celebrating Christmas all weekend with ugly sweaters and Preds toques and beanies. It's going to be a fun holiday week in Smashville.
Yeah, what a great show we've got lined up. And we were just talking, guys, before we came on. We were like, wait, we've got 2 hat tricks to talk about. So Steven Stamkos had himself a night against the Blues. And then Filip Forsberg says, oh, I might not get to 4, but I'll get to 3. So we'll talk about those 2 contests against the Blues. A familiar face joining the Predators ownership group. More on that in a moment. We'll have an interview with Big Red, Reid Schaefer. Looking forward to that, as well as our favorite moments of 2025 as we begin to close out the year, our Biggie Awesome Person of the Week, and so much more to get to. But Kara, what a fun week this has been. And boy, was that a pleasure to cover Steven Stamkos and a 4-goal game against the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, right when we got started, I had to ask her, I was like, when's the last time we recorded? Because we logged off. Max and I drove over to Brewhouse 100. We recorded Smashville live. And then we turned around and had an amazing outing from Steven Stamkos, the second 4-goal night of his career. But after talking to Stammer after the game, this one was a lot more memorable, guys, because he was scoring goals. He said the first time they came on like a power play, he had an empty net one. But this night was pretty much all about Steven Stamkos.
100%. It was a 7-2 win for Nashville. So 7 goals, 1, that's impressive. And I think one of the biggest things about that win is it came off of that shootout victory against Colorado. And one of the themes that the Predators have talked about in multiple instances throughout this season is they will have what they believe to be a statement type win, which they did obviously against Colorado last week, the NHL's best team. But then how do you follow that up? They did that against St. Louis. So that was a big talking point. And again, 4 goals off of the stick of Steven Stamkos, tying the franchise record, a feat that only 3 others have achieved. Filip Forsberg has done it. Rocco Grimaldi has done it. And all the way back in 2014, the legendary Eric Nystrom in Calgary was the first to do it with 4 goals in a game. But a radio montage, Max. You want to set this one up?
Proud to bring it to you from over a decade of Preds radio, the goal calls of all 4 Preds 4-goal scorers. Enjoy.
Predators have numbers if they hurry. Right wing side, Cullen. Cullen looking. Tipping it is Nystrom, and he scores! Eric Nystrom has his 4th goal of the hockey game. And the Predators have a 2-goal lead with 9:13 to go.
Wings keep the puck in. Zadina spins inside the blue line. Take it away. Here's Grimaldi breaking in. Looking for his 4th. He gets it! Rocco Grimaldi tying Eric Nystrom with a 4-goal night. Predators lead it 7-1. Up pass to Shane. Now into the zone. 8 seconds to go in the period. Right in front! And the backhander tapped home. pass at the right time, but I do believe you better get a hat trick +1 here.
They come in bunches, don't they, Pete?
Big time. And now a shot from out deep, and the backhander on the rebound and the score. Predators now lead it 6-2.
I believe that's another Stamkos
I agree.
goal. He is in the right spot at the right time, and you could just tell he's been getting a ton of chances here.
How about those 4 radio calls going all the way back to the Willie Donick radio play-by-play days for the Bobby Nye, Eric Nystrom 4-goal game up in Calgary in 2014. And I just love that list because that's Preds hockey right there. 4 guys have scored 4 goals in a game. 2 guys who you would not expect, and then 2 guys who you would expect. So it's some awesome Preds history, and Kara, 2 young bucks, had a big hand in that Preds history alongside Steven Stamkos last week.
Yeah, we have to talk about Matt Wood. I mean, how great has he been? I think we've brought up his name every podcast we've done since we've seen him in the lineup. But he was the one, he set up 2 assists that he was credited for on Steven Stamkos goals. One of them, he completely set up the play, didn't make the score sheet. But I talked to him after the game, and he said that on the bench that night, he said there was a belief in the room. And I don't know if that was coming off of the win against Colorado. I don't know if the things have kind of started to turn for this team where they're playing more connected. But the word he used was belief. He said, we had a belief tonight. And I think it was evident in the way they played, you know, talking with Bruno Brooks afterwards. He said it was enjoyable to watch. He knew what he was going to get from Steven Stamkos, the veteran. But he talked about his group in general, that he saw it too.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he had a number of really good quotes post-game. And it was kind of heartwarming talking about Stamkos. Whereas, and I think, you know, Robbie Stanley from NHL.com mentioned something like this as well. And I think for us, like, obviously so much of Stamkos' success and his career came in Tampa Bay. But for us to now have a front row seat to see a moment where he scores 4 goals in a game, or to see him get his 1200th point, he's coming up on 600 goals, things of that nature. You know, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. He's done just about everything you can do in this game. And it's really just a privilege, honestly, to watch him in moments like that. And you talk to guys, I mean, Luke Evangelista sticks in my mind, where Stamkos kind of dubbed him the Dishin magician after that game, as he had 3 helpers as well. But, you know, you hear a guy like Luke Evangelista, somebody who grew up watching Steven Stamkos, and it's one thing to be teammates with him, but again, to witness a night like that, not only in Predators history, but in his career, what a special moment that was. And yeah, Kara, you mentioned Andrew Brunette as well. I love this quote, and you talk about that belief, this quote that Bruno had after the first game against St. Louis, Stamkos' 4-goal game. He said, I think we're believing. I think the path hasn't been easy. We've gone through some stuff together and we've hung in there, but everybody's all in. We've never been tighter and we haven't deviated from our game plan, and it's nice for our group. I've been saying this all year, that through the process we've been in, the result was there and it hasn't always been there. And I give the group credit. They've stayed with it, and now they've reaped a little bit of the benefit of their hard work. Now, can we be consistent with it? I like Brunette finishing with a question there, because again, that's been a hot topic. Can the Predators find that consistency? And I would argue, as we record this on Tuesday, December 16th, wins in 7 of their last 10. For the most part, they have found that consistency.
And Brooks, talking about Stammer and those comments from Bruno, I think one thing that we can highlight and hone in on was he never wavered. He was in a slump. He wasn't playing well, but you never heard negativity from him. You never heard him change the way, you know, I know he switched up his style a little bit on the ice, but you weren't hearing those negative comments. He wasn't bad-mouthing his line mates. He wasn't putting anybody down on the coaching staff. He put his head down and he went to work. And I think that is the biggest thing in showing younger players how to act in this league when things aren't going your way.
Yeah, and the way Bruno put it just absolutely friggin' nailed it. He's handled himself like an all-timer. And I think that sums the whole thing up right there, because first of all, he is an all-timer when it comes to goal scoring in the NHL. And even though things didn't go right last year and things didn't go right the first month of this year, I think Stamkos still carried himself like a gentleman. He carried himself like a team leader. He carried himself like someone who wanted to be in Nashville, even though very little on-ice good had happened for him so far in Nashville. And then, my God, what a reward that was for Stamkos with 4 goals in that game so much fun. He now has 11 goals in his last 18 games after just 1 goal in the first 14 games to start the season. And Wood and Svechkov were on the ice for all 4 of those goals in the 4-goal game. They both were a career-high +4. They both had multiple assists in the game. And Stammer and the kids is hopefully going to stick here because Stamkos has some great dad jokes about it. He's like, yep, just playing with my 2 boys on the ice, same as at home with Chase and Carter, his young sons. So it's pretty perfect. It goes both ways.
Yeah. Well, in that Blues game, they had the lead going into the third period, and they knew that St. Louis was a team that they were going to take on again on Monday night as we sit and record here on Tuesday, December 16th. But they knew going into that final frame, hey, we're going to turn around. We're going to see the Blues. We got to work on some things so we know what we're going to see when we face them again. And guys, whatever they worked on seemed to work because Filip Forsberg saw Steven Stamkos and thought, I could do that.
I know, I love it. We were waiting for him to get 4. Obviously, he got the empty netter to finish it off. Filip Forsberg did with his 11th career hat trick. I kind of said that to him after. I was like, "Well, it's not 4, but you did get 3, and you'll take it, right? You're not going out there saying, "Well, Stammer got 4. You'd love to get 4," but 5-2 win on the road, and that came off of a Colorado game where, again, like you're going into the building of the best team in the NHL. The Predators lose 4-2. But Andrew Brunette, after that game even, he said, I liked our road game. I mean, you see why Colorado, it's so obvious why they're the top team, just the offensive firepower they have, the cohesion they have as a group. But the Predators still liked a lot of what they saw in Colorado, and it was a matter of carrying that forward into Monday night. They did that for the most part. They really liked their start. The second period especially, they really took over, got 3 goals in the second. St. Louis had a little bit of a push in the third, which I think was to be expected. The Preds didn't love how much room that they gave the Blues, how many opportunities they gave them to get back into the game. But again, when Forsberg iced it, boy, was that satisfying. I always think that it's more satisfying sometimes to win on the road than it is at home. Because at home, like you kind of expect it. You're in front of your crowd. You love to be in front of your fans. But when you can go on the road, especially against a division rival and just silence the building, and the building is 75% empty before the final horn even goes, to me, that's always really satisfying. And I think for the Preds as well, they're feeling good about themselves. It's been a good few weeks here. And again, for Filip Forsberg, just doing Phil things, as Andrew Brunette said after Monday's game, and another good outing in St. Louis there.
Screw it, Brooks. I disagree with you. I don't think that thing was ever close in St. Louis. That was an easy win for the Preds. They never let them back within 1 goal. That thing was decided the moment Filip Forsberg scored on the first shift of the game. He got 1 in each period. The power play goal in the second period was a thing of beauty. Twisted wrister to put the Preds ahead by a couple of goals and a lead that they knew would last. That would end up being the game-winning goals. They went ahead 3-1 and won 5-2. And then I love it. Jim Montgomery just giving out candy on Halloween. Oh, Filip Forsberg's on the ice. I'll pull my goalie with 4 minutes left while the puck's in the neutral zone. I'm sure nothing bad at all will happen. Oh, just the easiest hat trick finisher in Filip Forsberg's career. And I have one absolutely amazing stat. I don't like to throw too many stats on the podcast. This is more of a kind of have fun and let it fly and enjoy life, POP style. But this is such a great stat, and I think it sums up everything that is great about the all-time leading goal scorer in Nashville Predators history, Filip Forsberg. Filip Forsberg has 11 career hat tricks. That's the Preds franchise record. It already was the franchise record before this week, but that's not the stat. Filip Forsberg, in his 11 hat tricks in 11 games in total, has 34 goals and 1 assist in 11 games where he had a hat trick. Do not pass that thing, Phil. Shoot everything. That is what goal scorers do, and I love it. Another 3-goal game this week with no assists.
No, Max, I love that we were talking about it on the bus as we were pulling out of the arena. But like you said, goal scorers are going to score goals. I mean, Phil, he mentioned to me about the power play goal. The Preds, they were doing quite well on the power play, moving the puck around, getting opportunities. But Phil was eventually like, yeah, I just decided enough was enough and I was going to score. So you love to see it. And a great game for Filip Forsberg again. Like Andrew Brunette said, Kara, Phil doing Phil things. We know he's capable. And that was a classic Filip Forsberg performance.
I love this. Max has a slew of bobbleheads behind him, and he's showing us Filip Forsberg at the moment. I'm curious, Brooks, do you think every time we talk about a player, Max would have a bobblehead that he could throw out there?
I was just going to say, I wonder how many names we can mention and see who Max has a corresponding bobblehead that we can shake their head.
That's like giving me a test without letting me study. There's a lot of different arrangements that we can do here, but hey, we'll see what we can do. That was so awesome from Filip Forsberg. The Preds are now tied for the NHL lead by team for most hat tricks this season. That is the third Preds hat trick of the young season in just 32 games, tying them with the Mammoth and the Blackhawks, who, as far as I know, do not give out free hot chicken to their entire fan base the day after every hat trick. So that is a tiebreaker, and the Preds lead the NHL in hat tricks.
And you took advantage of that, did you not, Max?
I did. I'm 2 for 3 on my free Hattie B's hot chicken hat trick the next day. Shout out to my friends at the Hattie B's on Charlotte. They are awesome. And great to see some of our Preds Radio super fans getting some hot chicken there as well. So to many more.
Nice.
There you go. And I learned that the St. Louis Blues post-game meal was Hattie B's. I could smell something different wafting through the hallway. I was curious what my senses were, and I was informed. They were provided Hattie B's hot chicken. There you go.
No way. After the 4-goal game?
Wow.
So if you're the visiting team and you cater Hattie B's for your post-game meal and you allow a Preds hat trick, is your hot chicken free by proxy? I think it has to be.
That's a great question.
I mean, I'd like to think that they had no idea what their post-game meal was going to be until Steven Stamkos scored his third goal. And then they said, well, free chicken for the
we got
Blues.
some hot chicken. It's right across the street.
And they also had Frosties. It was really, really weird.
Oh, that's amazing. See, that's the insider intel you can only get on the POP. I love it.
There you go. Bringing you the knowledge down from Studio H.
Well done, Hammer.
Historic Studio H. The best spot in Bridgestone Arena. Home of Kara Hammer, where many famous people have gotten ready for their big show.
Well, as we mentioned, it's a holiday week in Smashville. 3-game homestand. So the Canes, this will come out after the Preds play the Carolina Hurricanes on the 17th. But then the big weekend, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Rangers are in town Saturday and Sunday evening, respectively, at Bridgestone Arena. And then the Preds finish off by heading to Minnesota 2 days before Christmas to take on Quinn Hughes and the Minnesota Wild. A fun way to end it before the holiday break. But the Preds are hot. It's fun to talk about, and we'll see what they can do headed into that Christmas break. You always want to feel good about yourself going into a little bit of a stretch there where you get a nice, well-deserved few days off. So we'll see what the Preds can do in this next week coming up. Another reason why Nashville has found success. Other guys are scoring more goals than he is, but he's still putting the puck in the net. Rookie winger Reid Schaefer, Big Red, and we will talk to him next. You are listening to the Predators Official Podcast on 102.5 The Game and watching on Preds YouTube. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to the Predators Official Podcast here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Nashville Predators YouTube page. It is time for our final interview before Christmas with Preds rookie winger Reid Schaefer, 10 games into his NHL career. Reid has handpicked today's episode title. We gave him many great Big Red Christmas puns, and he has chosen Reidolf, the red-haired rookie. He does not have a very shiny nose, but we are very happy to have Reid Schaefer on the podcast. Hi, Reid.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
So it's Christmas time. First of all, are you going to get a chance to go home for a couple of days for Christmas, or will you be hanging out here? And what does the holiday season look like in the Schaefer household?
Yeah, I actually booked my flights home last night, so I'm going to go back home to Edmonton after Minnesota. And then, just get the family together for the short time I'm home. So it'll be fun.
Amazing. So how does hockey play a role during the holidays for you growing up? I imagine that, World Juniors, that's a big deal this time of year, getting presents, playing hockey around Christmas, that sort of thing. What does the holidays look like from a hockey perspective for you?
Yeah, obviously, younger brother plays hockey. My dad played hockey growing up, so we'd spend a lot of time on the outdoor rink in the backyard. But like you said, World Juniors was a big thing. Just watching, sport in Canada around that time of year. But it's a busy time nowadays. So to get home and spend time with family, it's pretty special.
Amazing. What was the best gift that you ever received for Christmas? Are you an equipment guy, jersey guy? Is there anything that sticks out along those lines?
Honestly, it's got to be the PS5. I want to say like 4 years ago. That was the big thing. They were hard to get. So my dad got a hands on them, and I was pretty juiced.
Nice. What do you play?
I was a big Fortnite guy. Back in the day, it was the NHL, whatever, 21 when it came out. Nice. But right now, it's just Fortnite.
Talking to Reid Schaefer, Preds rookie winger here on the POP. Reid, you now got 10 games under your belt in the NHL, 3 weeks after your debut. Take us back to the moment you found out. What was it like getting the call, and what was it like calling home as soon as you found out?
Yeah, it was pretty special. I got the call from Scott Nickel on an off day down in Milwaukee, and I was pretty ecstatic. But yeah, I had a short turnaround. I think within the next hour, I was on car service to Chicago, joining the team for a Thanksgiving dinner. So it's been, a whirlwind of 3 weeks, pretty special moments, getting my family there to Chicago to watch a debut, and then them hopping on another plane to come to Nashville to watch me here at Bridgestone. So it's been pretty cool, dream come true, but have to thank my parents and family members for all the sacrifice they've done to get me here.
So once you hung up the phone with Scott Nickel, who's the first person you called?
Called mom and dad right away. They were pretty emotional, so it was a cool moment between us.
What and then how does that word spread? Like, do you call everyone else, or they're like, "We'll take care of it. We'll spread the word"? How did that work?
Yeah, I called a couple people, and then just texted others. But I'm sure my mom and grandma were texting everybody, getting the word out right away. Yeah.
First NHL game at the United Center in Chicago, which, by the way, was the same place your head coach made his NHL debut just a few years earlier. What sticks with you most from game number one, Reid?
It's a pretty historical, arena and franchise, obviously with the Blackhawks, but I think the national anthem sticks out the most. The crowd was just right into it, so loud, gave me chills. So that was a pretty cool moment.
And then it wasn't long until you scored your first NHL goal and your first NHL fight 2 games later against Calgary. What do you remember from that game? And I think I remember you saying afterward about the goal that you just kind of blacked out there for a second when it went in. But what, now that maybe you've had a chance to look back, what do you remember about that game?
Yeah, it was a pretty, cool game, pretty special, to score that first NHL goal. It was a greasy one, just getting to the net. Obviously, Svechkov made an unreal play, but it was greasy, but they all count. So, like you said, in the celebration, I kind of blacked out. I might have looked a little dumb with just my celebration, but it was pretty cool.
Have you had kind of a welcome to the NHL moment yet? I know a lot of guys talk about just the speed of the game being different, or maybe going up against legendary players. Have you kind of had that moment yet where you're like, wow, like this is the NHL?
Yeah, I think second game when Logan Stanley stood me up at the blue line. He folded me like a lawn chair there. So I got up and I was like, yeah, this is a men's game. But that was probably an on-ice moment. Off-ice was having Thanksgiving dinner with Skillsy and Stamkos at the same table. Nice. It's pretty funny stories they got.
Yeah, we got to ask about that, Reid. You rolled right up on Thanksgiving Day, and we were fortunate to be there, too. The whole team traveling party was there at dinner. You were at the most boisterous table, as you said, led by Hal Gill, regaling you with tales of old. Is it just like, oh, my God, I'm playing in the NHL tomorrow?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, just, camaraderie around the team and that table was pretty funny that night. It definitely calmed my nerves a bit, but you didn't really think of, oh my gosh, you're going to play in the NHL tomorrow because, you're just in, that scenario right now. But it was pretty cool.
Talking to Preds rookie winger Reid Schaefer here on the Preds Official Podcast. What was the most special moment you had with your family and your girlfriend and your grandparents and your other supporters as they were there for the first 3 games with you?
Yeah, I think just, seeing them after the game, you could tell they were pretty emotional, but, so excited. They've been, along this journey with me since I was a young kid. So it means just as much to me as it does to them. So it was a pretty cool moment just to share together. And
Reid, what do you think when you look around the room now and you see guys like Yossi and Forsberg and Stamkos and O'Reilly? And I know you're not starstruck. Obviously, they're your teammates. But what do you think about just the fact that you are playing with these guys and you get the chance to learn from them and be around them on a daily basis and see what it's like to be a pro?
Yeah, it's an honor, obviously. I'm extremely grateful to be in the position I am right now. But, to see those guys, of that stature, I grew up watching those guys and, to be able to be on the same team as them, it's pretty special, pretty cool. And, I'm just trying to learn as much as I can from them.
What kind of advice have you received either from them or coaches, anybody that's around? What has kind of stuck with you here in the first little bit?
Yeah, I think just at first it was more so just enjoy it, soak it all in. You only get one first NHL game and, so for now it's just, just soaking in all the knowledge. I mean, it's a lot different than the American League with how good guys' sticks are, pace of play. So just trying to figure out those little details with, stick placement and stuff like that. Just trying to, learn stuff like that.
I've heard guys talk a little bit as well about just, obviously you're a young player, you're going to get to know the game, you're going to get to know guys on other teams. How have you kind of felt maybe your confidence, even in these first 10 games or so, maybe from game one until now? Have you felt that confidence grow a little bit? And how has your game maybe grown even in the last little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from, the first game till now, I think each game I play, I get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more feel for the puck. I'm trying to hold on to pucks a little more, use my body to, create some more space. But like I said, it's just more games I play, the more I'll feel comfortable.
Talking to Preds rookie winger Reid Schaefer here on the Predators Official Podcast. Reid, you've been a Preds prospect for a while, but you are not a homegrown Pred since you were drafted by the Edmonton Oilers, 32nd overall with the final pick of the first round in 2022. What was it like being drafted by your hometown team and then being traded away when you were still in juniors to a different team?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Obviously, I was so excited, when the time came. I was a hometown boy. I cheered for that team growing up as a young kid. So to be drafted by them, I was pretty excited. And then it was a quick stint with them. I think I got traded 6 months later at the trade deadline, which I wasn't really expecting, but I knew my name was out there. But to be involved with a guy like Matthias Ekholm, I think it's something cool you could look back on. But now that I'm in the Predators organization, I'm really happy. I mean, such great staff and organization has been great to me. So I'm enjoying it, and yeah.
At the time you were traded, you were playing in the Western League for the Seattle Thunderbirds, one of the few major junior teams in the United States. What was your experience in Seattle like, living in a big American city? And on the hockey side, you guys won the Ed Chenoweth Cup, you played in the Memorial Cup, and you were a really important player on some really good teams.
Yeah, Seattle was great. I mean, that was another great organization. I think they did a great job at developing me. I came in, as a 16-year-old call-up, only played 7 games that year, and then my 17-year-old year was COVID, so I only played 20 games, and my stats weren't great that year. And then, coach gave me an opportunity my following year in my draft year. And, I had some success on a good hockey team. I mean, we made it to the finals, but lost out to the Edmonton Oil Kings there in the finals. And then the next year, we loaded up. We had a super team. It was pretty fun hockey. And, we were fortunate enough to, win the league and go on to the Memorial Cup final where we fell short. But it was a special time in Seattle. Great group of guys, great staff, and overall, I mean, my billet parents were great to me too. I think they were a huge contributor. They were actually there at my NHL debut, so that was pretty cool.
Reid, I remember talking to you back in September at rookie camp and just you developing as a player, and you mentioned, I've got some offensive upside, but I like to be a pain in the butt to play against too. And you said that was kind of your dad's style of play as well. Was it growing up? Was it in junior? Like, when did you feel like you kind of developed your style of play and said, this is the kind of player I can be?
Yeah, I mean, as an 18-year-old in the Western League, I was a bigger guy, so I knew I had to play a bigger guy role, and I used my body to my advantage against smaller, younger players. And I knew that going into pro, I was going to have to, use my size to my advantage and, play a physical role. And I think I just, tried to add on to that with, my skill. And then going to pro, obviously, you're going up against men, guys who are a lot older than you. So having those, physical attributes back in the day, helps a little bit more for an easier transition, I guess.
One more for me, and I'll let Max wrap it. But what is just the coolest part about all of this right now? When you look at your life and where you are as a professional hockey player, the best league in the world, what do you think about all this right now?
Honestly, the best part of being in the NHL is probably travel. Get whatever you want to eat. But I think that's the cool part, is just how you're going city to city and you don't wait in line. You just, hop right on the plane and go. I think that's pretty cool. So,
our final question is technically a fan question, Reid. It's from Wiley on the East Side, which is Willie Donick from Preds TV's fan code name. He wants to know your favorite piece of sports memorabilia or merch that you have, and he's really hoping it's Mariners or Supersonics gear from your time in Seattle.
Honestly, no, I don't have any Mariners or Seahawks gear. I might have gone to 3 baseball games in Seattle, and I didn't even make it out to an NFL game. So can't say it's any of that kind of sports related. I think it would have to be something of myself, and that would probably be a gold medal for Team Canada at World Juniors.
Nice.
Hey,
that's hard to beat.
Good.
Yeah.
That one wins.
Yeah.
Well, Reid, thanks so much for doing this. It's awesome getting to know you. We're so happy for your success, and have a Merry Christmas and hopefully easy flights back to Edmonton next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Preds rookie winger number 49, Reid Schaefer, 10 games into his NHL career on the POP. We'll come back and recap our favorite moments of 2025 in Smashville for our final podcast of the year here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to the Predators Official Podcast on the Nashville Predators YouTube page and ESPN 102.5 The Game. My name is Max Herz from Preds Radio, alongside Kara Hammer from Preds TV and Brooks Bratten, team reporter from NashvillePredators.com. Guys, we had some big news come out earlier this week. A new face in the Predators ownership group. And now there are some owners in the sports world that people might not know. They're all very important people, but they're not sports people. Well, this owner is a sports person. And for many people here in Smashville, he is the sports person. Legendary Alabama football coach Nick Saban is now a minority owner of your Nashville Predators. And if there was any doubt, the Preds remain SEC's pro sports team, number 1, without a doubt.
I don't know if anybody saw that coming, announced on Tuesday afternoon, December 16th, as we record this. But yeah, everybody knows Nick Saban, right? Former Bama head coach. He's on College Game Day now as a panelist. And he's also a part of Dream Sports Ventures, LLC. So that's an entity controlled by Saban and his partner, Joe Agresti. So they recently closed on the purchase of a minority stake in the Predators. And Bill Haslam, of course, Nashville's franchise chairman and majority owner, making that announcement. And we've seen Nick Saban around from time to time. There's photos of him in Preds jerseys. He was actually at Predators rookie camp a few months back, hanging out with Bill Haslam, some of the Predators coaching staff and scouting staff. And so we've seen him around, but I don't know that anybody saw this coming. But yeah, what a cool move this is to have somebody like Nick Saban on the Predators ownership group. You got to love it.
I think, Max, we saw Nick Saban when we were at College Game Day, when they were in town for Vanderbilt, and we saw him talking with Our Lady President, Michelle Kennedy. And I think we all thought, wow, like everybody here is just so connected. And now that you see these pieces starting to come together, what a great name to have in the organization.
Oh, when Kara, Willie Donick, and I were apparently in the area we were not allowed to be in at College Game Day because we were VIPs, but we were not Home Depot VIPs. But anyway, we had a nice time in the Home Depot area, which we unknowingly were in. Miss Terry, Nick Saban's very famous wife, was sitting right above us on the stage. And the moment Nick Saban said on ESPN, that he's all in on Vandy now and that he regrets saying Vandy does not have a home field advantage in the past. We yelled at Miss Terry, me and Willie Donick, Miss Terry, we love you. You're one of us now. You're stuck with us. And little did we know, she's even more one of us than we ever could have thought. Welcome to Smashville, officially Nick Saban and family and his crew. We are so happy to have you. And it sounds like a joke, but the Preds really are the SEC's professional sports team. There's no SEC hockey. There are a lot of SEC fans that if the Preds didn't exist would have no hockey allegiance. And we are proud to be the pro sports team of SEC Nation. And Nick Saban is a nice figurehead to hammer that home.
And maybe it was Miss Terry who kicked you out of the VIP, yelling at her. Just get that guy out of here.
Yeah, that might have been a good point. But they came up and said, are you guys Home Depot? They said, are you guys Home Depot? And I pointed at Kara and I said, well, we have a hammer. And they didn't get to go.
Nicely done.
Nobody got the joke.
Nicely done. I do want to read this quote from Nick Saban real quick. In the release, he said, quote, "Although I am now retired as a coach, I still possess a competitive nature and a great passion for sports. Being involved in a sports team in Nashville has always been a goal, and the opportunity to partner in the Preds with a class act like Bill Haslam created the perfect scenario for us. The Preds are a great organization with a fantastic brand, and we are excited to be a part of the future success of the franchise. No doubt that having someone like Nick Saban on board will certainly help in those ventures." So as we said once more, welcome to Nick Saban and Joe Agresti. So happy to have them on board, and we'll look forward to many years as they become a member of the organization.
Well, we want to have Coach on the podcast, and we are going to try and make that happen once the college football season ends. We're certainly going to be seeing him in Smashville with Miss Terry. We know Nick Saban knows a lot about hockey. Like he's not a hockey newbie. He knows a lot about hockey. But the one thing I really want to know what Coach Saban thinks about hockey. What does he think about the fact that you can lose a game but still get a point in the standings? Because that does not seem to vibe with the Nick Saban 15-0 every year type mantra. So if we get him on, I'm going to ask him about the overtime loss point and see what he thinks as one of the greatest coaches in any sport ever, if not the best ever.
Well, Max, looking at the standings, the Preds are only 5 points back from a wild card spot. So a lot to keep our eyes on as we make our way into the new year.
We'll take all the points we can get. And as we approach the turn of the calendar, it's always kind of weird when you do this because obviously the hockey season goes through 2 years, but we talk about the calendar year, 2025, and everybody comes out with their countdowns, their wraps, their favorite moments. And, for the Predators, and especially for those of us that are around the team on a daily basis and get to do some really cool things as a result, we just wanted to highlight a few of our favorite moments, guys. And as I was looking back the other day and just jogging the memory, because so many things happen that you forget about. And it was actually one of the first days of 2025 was when Ozzy Weisblatt was first recalled. We were on the road in Vancouver, and we know so much about his family. We've told his story, and his parents, his mom, Kim, is deaf. And so they use sign language, obviously, to communicate. And Ozzy came up. He's introduced himself to our Preds social media crew, and they put it out on social, and he signed everything as well. And that just went viral. And that was such a cool moment to not only introduce him to the fan base, but especially for someone who has now become, at least this season, an everyday NHLer. Unfortunately, he's obviously hurt right now, and we probably won't see him until after the Olympic break in February or March. But that was a really cool way to start the year with Ozzy Weisblatt. Of course, the Four Nations face-off in February. A couple of Preds went there. But what a moment for the game of hockey and kind of a precursor to the Olympics that'll be here before we know it. And personally, I got to take some cool trips. I got to go up to Milwaukee to see the Admirals for the first time in person as they played a couple of playoff games. I don't know if they'll let us back because they did lose both home playoff games that I was in attendance for. So we'll see, maybe one day. But really great to get up to Milwaukee. And then first time to the scouting combine in Buffalo. That was really cool to not only see the prospects do the bike test that everybody sees and talks about on video at that time of the year, but then to go out to Los Angeles, see Brady Martin get drafted, as well as Cam Reed in the first round, Riker Lee, Jack Ivankovic was in attendance as well. So a really fun time there in LA. And then the last one, the trip to Sweden, What a moment that was for the Preds organization to take it over to Europe and to skate in Filip Forsberg and Adam Wilsby's home country, to receive that Swedish hospitality. And certainly one of the cooler things I've had the opportunity to do in my career. So a lot of fun all around the world for the Preds this past year, and looking forward to more in 2026.
Kara, you go next.
All right, mine is going to come off the ice, but this is a Smashville special. But my mother, as many people know because this went viral on social media, lost her wedding ring that she had worn for nearly 50 years while at the game watching my daughter so I could work a hockey game. The ring simply came off her finger somewhere between the Lexus Lounge and the stands, and a nice Smashville citizen turned the ring in and returned it to my mother. So I just feel like that is what we are, right? That's why Smashville is so special.
My favorite moments of the year, I think, are actually very similar to those. My first one is how great our fans have been. And this was not a winning year for the Preds last season and the first portion of this season before the last few weeks when the Preds have started to play much better. Our fans continue to be the best. They continue to show up and show out and be loud and help the team win. And selfishly, I'm so overjoyed every time we have fans stay after a game to listen to the radio broadcasts and say hi to us and come to events and things like that. Our fans are the best. It wouldn't be like that other places when a team was close to last in the NHL for nearly an entire season like the Preds were last year. We don't take that for granted, and that's something that I'll remember forever. And hopefully the Preds aren't as low in the standings in the future, but you guys have been so exceptional. And the other moments off the ice, Pete Weber and Terry Crisp being inducted into the Golden Hall, the Team Hall of Fame, just earlier this season. That was so special to celebrate those guys and have their families all together. And then tying it in with those guys, Hockey Fights Cancer Night at home was really special with UC Saros taking the faces of 4 people we love in Smashville onto the ice, onto his goalie mask, including our friend Aaron Donick, who we lost this summer to cancer. And that's just another example of the Smashville community coming together. And there could have been tons of different faces on there, but those faces represented everybody out there in Smashville and how close this Preds community is. And it's something that's been there since the late 90s, and it hasn't gone away through 27 seasons. The Predators are an organization based on loyalty. They're based on family, they're based on respect, and they're based on community. And I'm just so overjoyed every time that shows up, and it shows up on the ice too. I honestly think my 2 favorite on-ice moments of 2025 might have both been in the last week with the 2 hat tricks. Is that so wrong? Am I forgetting something, or do I have recency bias?
No, it's fair. That was fun. Those were a couple of fun games. I don't fault you one bit for choosing those.
Yeah. And my last one is Brooks returning to the podcast.
Wow.
Aww.
I didn't even have to pay you to say that. No, I thank you for that. No, it's been really fun to get back on with you guys. I mean, obviously it was so fun back in the day to start this with Thomas Willis way back in the fall of 2017, I think, maybe 2018. And to take a couple of years off and then to get back into it, it's been so fun to be back on the air with the 2 of you. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, they're supposed to be SEC. Your Preds are SEC. Nick Saban, all the feels. We're having fun in Smashville. We're going to have an amazing new year. But before we do that, we have to hand out the final Big E Award of the week coming up next here on the Predators Official Podcast.
Welcome back to the Predators Official Podcast. Kara Hammer, Brooks Bratten, Max Herz. And as we know, we give out our Big E, Awesome Person of the Week. And as we know in this league, 1,000 games is hard to come by. But Nino Niederreiter, former Nashville Predator, just hit 1,000 games. And Nino, why are you so awesome? The guys put together a cool tribute video for him. I think he had the best Swiss athlete in all of Switzerland, right? Am I right saying that?
Maybe the world.
Put together a nice little tribute for him. So congrats, Nino Niederreiter.
Roger Federer got in on the love, and Roman Josi congratulated his best friend in the NHL on becoming the first Swiss player to ever reach 1,000.
Hey Nino, congrats on 1,000 games. unbelievable. I think, honestly, really emotional for me too. I've known you since you're, 15 years old, and we became really good friends ever since, and been kind of part of your journey this whole time, and I'm just really, really proud of you. You're going to be the first Swiss player to ever do it, and that's unbelievable. And I know you so well. I think everybody that's been around you, you're an amazing teammate. You're an amazing guy, an amazing player. The way you play the game hard every game, and just to make it to 1,000 is unbelievable. And like I said, I'm extremely proud of you. I'm extremely proud to be your friend, and just want to say congratulations.
Thought that was such a heartfelt message from Roman, and it's funny. I mean, if Yossi's been through so much with injuries, especially the last few seasons, it could have been Yossi to be the first Swiss NHL player to reach 1,000. He's less than 20 away. We're not going to start counting down because we just want to get there. But it's so perfect. Like anybody else would be like, it should have been Jost. But it's Nino Niederreiter, who Roman Josi loves as much as anybody in the league. They've been friends for more than half of their lives, as you heard Roman say. And it's almost fitting that Nino gets it first. He was briefly a Pred for less than a season, but he's the suave Swiss gentleman. He is awesome. Aaron Donick was a big fan of his. So Brooksy, this is a pretty easy Big E for Nino Niederreiter.
Nino's a guy that I unfortunately did not get to cover in my 2 years off, but you hear the stories and you see moments like this, and certainly very well deserved for Nino Niederreiter. Again, hitting that 1,000 game milestone. And Jost isn't far behind. We'll let him get there first, just like Luke Shen. When I asked him last year, hey, do you want to talk about it ahead of time? He was like, nope, we're going to get there first, and then we'll talk about it. Fair enough. But congratulations to Nino Niederreiter, our final Big E of 2025.
Way to play it safe. I think that's the right move. And amongst the video tributes, Roger Federer was the headliner, absolutely. Roman Josi, lots of other NHLers were in there, some of the big-name Jets, Sebastian Aho, Niederreiter's line mate from the Hurricanes, and also Nino's grandparents. One grandma and then a set of grandma and grandpa who both recorded very, very beautiful messages from Switzerland, and everyone in Switzerland is just beautiful and lives forever, and his grandparents are another testament of that. And we got to see his grandma when the Preds played in Switzerland in the Global Series in a preseason game 3 years ago when Nino was on the Preds, so pretty cool. And as great as those were, I actually think my favorite amongst the tributes was Swiss skier Marco Odermatt, who sent in his tribute from the ski lift.
From the chairlift.
Of course.
Yeah.
So Swiss.
So Swiss. I love it.
Nino Niederreiter, everyone from Switzerland, you rock.
You rock.
Y'all rock. Let's finish off on this. And this is kind of a cool way to wrap up in 2025 as we get ready to say goodbye. But our mailbag, of course, you can always use hashtag Preds Podcast on X or social media, or you can comment down below on the YouTube listing. And our friend Rick did use hashtag Preds Podcast. That's how we saw this question. And I like what he asks. He says, why did y'all want to work for / cover the Preds?
Oh,
That's a good question. I will start with that. So, and this may be similar for all of us, I'm not sure, but I'll be honest, growing up, I wasn't necessarily like, oh, I've got to work for the Nashville Predators one day. But when I became very much interested in working for a hockey team, I didn't care what team, what league, I was blessed enough to have it be Nashville, and started out in 2014. I just straight up applied for the job, essentially the similar, if not the same job that I still have now. It's just evolved over time, and applied online, ended up getting the job. And then in the back of my head, I was kind of like, oh, I'll be here for 3-4 years. It'll be some good experience, and then I'll move on somewhere else. 11 plus years later, I'm not only living in Nashville, I'm married. My wife's entire family is in Nashville. My mom and stepdad now live in Nashville. They moved from Pittsburgh. I don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon. So what I will say is, every time, having grown up in Pittsburgh, having interned for the Penguins, when you play the Penguins, there's no team for me that I'd rather beat. And I've had people, not as much now, but in the early years, say like, come on, who you're really rooting for? And I'd say, you'd be amazed and how your allegiances change when you start working for one of them and you're around them every day and you see the guys, you live the wins and you live the losses. And so again, 10, 15 years ago, had no idea that I would end up here, but couldn't be more proud to work for the Nashville Predators and be able to participate in a medium like this. But I appreciate the question. It's a good one.
For me, I think I came here, I worked at News 2, I was covering the Nashville Predators, and I think when they went on the Cup run, that was just such a magical moment, right? We were all a part of it. It was something that you can never replicate. It was one of those moments that you look back on and you're like, wow, that was so magical, and we were in it, and we were living in it at that time. And I think from that moment on, I knew that I loved the way the organization was ran. I loved how Sean Henry had his people so inspired to come to work every day and want to be a part of it. And for me, that was it. It was just, I knew I wanted to work for the Preds, and then Lindsay Rowley welcomed me in with open arms to be the next girl on the broadcast team, and here we are, and now this is my second family.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about the way that the team and the franchise run, and as I said in the last segment, the Preds were founded on loyalty and respect and community, and hockey is a vessel to get to all of that, which is really, really special. And I'm honored to be a part of it in the way I am now. I admired it from afar before I was working with the team and when I was working at 102.5 The Game. And now I'm just overjoyed to be a part of it, honored to be in the NHL, and so happy that it's with the Preds. And I feel like, Kara, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is my family. So I'm really, really lucky.
Well said. And I think, Max, you said it so eloquently earlier, too, that we really are thankful for all of you who listen. I think jobs like this, and I try to say this to fans when I have the opportunity, but like, if it's not for fans, like, none of this matters, right? If nobody is listening, if nobody is watching, nobody's coming to games, like, what are you doing it for, right? So the fact that you as a collective group in Smashville continue to show up and support this team, and again, to watch us on this podcast, I mean, it still kind of blows my mind sometimes that people are willing to hear what we have to say for an hour and we're just talking hockey, which is something that we'd be doing anyway. So we really appreciate your listenership, your viewership, and especially at this time of the year. I don't know about you guys. I always get reflective. I love the holidays. I love New Year's Eve, going into the new year and looking back on a year that was. So again, just grateful to be back on the pod. And thanks to everyone for listening and watching this year. Looking forward to so much more in 2026. So thanks so much to all of you for watching and listening. For Kara Hammer and Max Herz, I'm Brooks Bratten. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a wonderful holiday season, and a great start to the new year. We will talk to you next year in 2026. So long.